Welcome to Industry Insiders, created and produced by the Center for Entertainment and Hospitality Management at California State University, Fullerton. During this series, we sit down with influential professionals in the entertainment and hospitality industries that are located across the world. Our goal is to learn about each professional's career and gain wisdom from their experience in the industry.
This week's guest is John Ehlenfeldt. John is currently the Executive Vice President and COO of Visit Huntington Beach. He is responsible for the leadership and development of the sales and service departments, annual budget management, strategic planning, benefit administration, product development, and staff hiring, development, and evaluation. He is a frequent speaker and an ongoing mentor to students of the hospitality industry at several Southern California universities, most notably Cal State Fullerton, his alma mater. Please join us as we welcome John Ehlenfeldt.
What a lovely, lovely introduction. I love it. I love it. John Ehlenfeldt, welcome to Industry Insider.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We're excited to have you. Got to welcome Madison, my lovely co-host for today. How are we doing today,
Hi,
Madison?
guys. I'm great.
So we are just excited to have a conversation with you, John, talk about current events, your experience in the industry, and any advice. I'm going to defer to Madison, who's going to ask us her first question. That'll kind of get us off and running, and we'll just have a lovely conversation. If you're tuning in live to us, please feel free to leave us a comment, ask a question. We will include you in the broadcast. And with that, Madison, take us away.
So, in your 25 years of experience, what has helped you most to market Huntington Beach?
Oh, goodness. Well, yeah, 25 years is a very long time. Let's start with that. But I am going to say that probably the development of the industry relationships along the way and trying to be flexible and be able to pivot when necessary, and most importantly, listen to what your clients or potential clients are needing or looking for. Because when you're being an active listener about what their needs are and hearing that before you provide any kind of response, I think you have increased engagement on an understanding of what their needs are and how you're going to take, in this case, the destination I work for, Huntington Beach, and make sure that it aligns with their overall goals and objectives for a potential program they may be bringing to your destination. And that's kind of followed through with every aspect of my career, from when I worked at a convention center to being a catering director and planning wedding receptions for brides. They usually know what they want, and if you listen first, you can make sure that you're making that dream come true.
We'll start learning about kind of the CVB world. And how would you, maybe in like a minute, 30 seconds or less, kind of define what your day-to-day role is and what your responsibilities are?
Sure. So I'm the Executive Vice President with Visit Huntington Beach, and a DMO, or Destination Marketing Organization, is really kind of the expert on the destination. And our services are complementary to meeting planners and visitors alike. And my day-to-day operations as second in command to our president and CEO encompass overseeing the sales and service department, fiscal budget management, human resources, and some of the other tactics around the overall operations of the organization, things that you need to have in place regarding liability insurance and some of those kind of components.
What do you feel is important for the industry now, as we're in this very tenuous time, to kind of move forward? What do you think we as students that are getting ready to enter the industry, and some of us are veterans, what can we be doing now to help the industry move forward?
I think people that are either currently working in industry or about to work in the industry need to hold true to the belief that there is this innate desire to meet and to gather and to come up with creative and innovative solutions that move companies and organizations and associations forward and that isn't going to go away in light of the pandemic that we have. It will morph and change, and we're seeing that right now with a virtual component for everything, from Zoom meetings to all the things that would take place just via over email or by video. And that innate desire to meet is still going to be there, because when we meet, we do change the world. And I think the message on what everybody can do right now is taking this time to fine tune the skill sets that you have, knowing that there may still be a virtual component as a hybrid that will be part of our industry as we emerge out of COVID-19. And it'll be important to understand how to incorporate that, because probably for the next year or two, you're going to see, even with the onset of vaccines and therapeutics from COVID-19, some people that don't have an underlying health condition will feel free and wanting to travel again and attend in-person meetings and events. And some of those with underlying health conditions may take a little bit longer, just till the vaccines take a hold and they see the positivity rate declining before they'll actually attend a meeting in person. So the important thing is, don't put your career and your life on hold. Take the time to be able to fine tune your skill sets and make sure that you're ready when we emerge from this to either grab that job opportunity that will be available. And I'm sure for graduating students, there's going to be lots of them. And you have the ability to really change our industry for the better, because you have the latest and greatest in your education coming into the workforce. And in your senior year or junior year, or wherever you may be in the process, you've experienced what a pandemic is like, because you've had to live through it and adjust your own school study habits and classroom attendance by being virtual. So you're a little bit ahead of the game from that aspect. And I would just encourage you to always think about how everything that you do experience, whether in the classroom or outside of it, that you can incorporate into your career aspirations, and feel confident that you'll have a lot to offer because of the experiences that you've had recently.
You mentioned honing skills. What are maybe 2 or 3 skills that we should be really focused on developing now as we look forward?
Exactly. So I would say, if you're looking for a skill now to hone as you move forward, some of the ones that seem to be probably resonating the most is understanding areas around risk management. So our organization has adopted project briefs for everything that we do now, a marketing initiative, a sales initiative, a advertising opportunity we might be doing, or even our social media strategy. And by having that project brief, it's allowing us to focus on all the things that you learn from SWOT analysis, where you're looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. And the risk factor has never really probably been as focused on in the past, because we've had a long stretch in the hospitality industry of really positive and tremendous growth. And now we had to kind of hone in on that, to have kind of a, if this happens, how do we pivot and go this direction? And the more you are prepared for that, the more successful you are going to be, not only as a staff member, but as an employee. And to give an example of that, as our own organization went through some of these constrictions and downsizing in our staff and workforce, due to some of the budget constraints or lack thereof, we looked at the staff members that actually had multiple skill sets to offer beyond just the scope of their own job responsibility. As an example, the seniority factor didn't play in as much as the skill set did. So somebody that maybe had 3 years of tenure with our organization that only had skill sets in one particular area did not get brought back from furlough as one of our employees that only had 9 months of tenure with our organization. And that's because that new employee, brand new, that was hired in November of 2019, actually had the skill sets that aligned with the reorganization of what we needed to be able to do to move forward at a smaller capacity. If we were not going to have a contractual relationship with our advertising agency of record anymore due to cost constraints, this particular individual had some of the skill sets from their time at the university where they could do the creative copy and layout and had the writing skills to be able to execute internally those necessary things for our organization where we used to outsource it.
Interesting. Madison, over to you.
So has the communication channel been and your organization better, the same, or worse during these times?
The communication channel is definitely better. So I'm sure students also feel sometime that in this current climate we are zoomed out. We participate in a lot of Zoom programs, but it's also, I think, really upticked the amount of communication. And we allow that communication to be a little bit fluid based on the needs of what is going on. And so if there are new restrictions that come into play, we'll take a moment to pause to let everybody kind of share how they're feeling about it, whether it's anxiousness, whether it's they're nervous or scared, or the unknown of what's going to be next and how are we going to tackle that. So we allow them to feel the moment, which, in the past, when you were in an only office environment, perhaps you didn't always do that. You kind of did that collective thinking in your own office. So we, I think, have better synergy as a team as a result of it. And then that allows us to kind of solidify what is the direction we need to go as a team moving forward. So it seems the communication component has really upticked on it. I know that being in more Zoom meetings doesn't necessarily solve that, but I think the type of meetings that we have is being able to lead to that level of engagement. And you perhaps maybe know your colleagues a little better than you did even from the office environment, because life will happen while you're on a Zoom call, even at home, and a dog may bark or something along the lines of that, or technology, something happens and someone else in your household has music playing that can be heard because their headphones didn't connect correctly. And that allows people to feel a little bit of connection to you as a person, as a human being. And you may bring your dog up and showcase that dog on the video of Zoom so that everybody can see it. And I think those kind of touch points keep the human element of communication and engagement intact, which is really the most important thing.
Okay. Interesting. Let's discuss professional associations. You have the rare double play of being a past president of both MPI Southern California as well as SITE Southern California. Did I miss any? No, we covered both, right?
You got that correct.
In addition, you're on the international board for MPI, Meeting Professionals International. How has your volunteer work and membership benefited your career personally and professionally?
So for me, I look at the mix of who I am as an individual leads to my success. So to get the best John from my work for an organization I would work for, there needs to be a balance between my personal life, my work or career life, and my professional aspirations. And if those three are all in harmony, then you're really getting the best John. And I've just found that it's a recipe for success to be able to have that level of engagement, not just from the educational opportunities that are given from involvement with an association, but also the networking opportunities. A lot of the past 4 jobs that I've had in my career have been a direct result of my involvement either with MPI or with SITE. So because that has really developed my career, it also leads to an increased passion to keep. So that's why I may be that rare individual that was president of both chapters. It's just I feel that desire to give back to the industry and to serve in those volunteer roles because I have benefited so much from them. It becomes a labor of love to where you want to be able to pay it forward and be able to inspire others to volunteer, and to also understand that you can really reap quite a bit of rewards out of your involvement, whether it is networking for more business or job opportunities, or to increase your educational knowledge, or to also give back to the industry and the community.
Just so everyone understands, what's the difference between Meeting Professionals International and then SITE?
Sure. So Meeting Professionals International is going to be the global meeting and event association, and it will focus on meetings, whether they're association meetings or corporate meetings, and it will be from small to large, and it kind of encompasses anything that could be at a convention center or self-contained at a hotel, or an event on a beach or in a park. So you've got a lot of aspects of it. And the breakdown on that has meeting and event planners that actually plan those types of events, and then meeting industry suppliers, who are really the ones that provide the level of services, whether it's the hotel or a DJ or a caterer or an event venue or a destination. With SITE, it stands for Society of Incentive Travel Excellence. It will lean more heavily to the motivational or incentive aspect of our industry. Still will be structured around meeting and events, but leans more on the event or experiential component on it. So as an example, if a automobile manufacturer has an incentive program for their top 1% of sales generators globally or in the United States, those individuals, in addition to maybe receiving a bonus, a cash payout, may have the ability to participate in an incentive program. That could be a week-long trip to Paris, France, as an example, that will include airfare and guided tours and high-end dining options. You're allowed to bring a significant other on that trip, because they're usually the ones that also help support the people that hit those goals. And so it's an additional carrot that is extended out there a lot of times from companies or associations to get generated results. And those are motivational experiences. So I just shared one that could be in Paris, France. It could be riding an elephant in India, to seeing the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. There are just lots of different opportunities on it. So that's kind of really the breakdown between those two associations. And the MPI Southern California chapter is one of the top 10 largest chapters globally, out of over 70 chapters worldwide. And SITE Southern California chapter is the largest chapter out of about 35 SITE chapters globally.
Excellent definition. Thank you. We have a question from the audience. So if you're in the audience, please continue to ask questions. First, from Philip Kim. Hello, Philip. Good to see you here. Many small businesses are closing during COVID. How will small businesses closing affect the tourism for Huntington Beach?
That is an excellent question, Philip. So the small business aspect of any destination gives a lot of times the local flavor, or kind of the spirit of the destination. So their vitality and longevity is important. We do have the city of Huntington Beach has come up with some programs that are providing financial assistance for some of the small business owners to make sure that they stay afloat. But as far as the impact on tourism, it can have a long-term effect on that. In particular, if they are activities of engagement, when people come to the destination, for example, electric bike rental company or a surfing lesson company, those things are all part of the experience of the destination. And it's important to be able to support them or to grow that facet of the industry as we come out of COVID-19. So we do have dialogue with city manager and the city elected officials to be able to make sure that, in addition to just providing that financial support, that they are marketing and promoting local residents in the interim to utilize those services. realizing that the tourism economy is one of the strongest economic engines for the destination, and that it takes all parts of a village to be able to make it successful. So that means residents have a hand in that as well, with the support of tourism, the rebound of tourism, supporting our local businesses in the interim, and making sure that the city showcases its best foot forward on supporting them in any way they can.
Interesting. I'm going to defer over to Madison, and then we have another question from the audience. So go ahead, Madison. You're muted, though. You're still muted, Madison.
What industry techniques have you used or are going to use to promote visitors to the businesses that have made the commitment to sign the Clean and Safe Pledge?
You've done your homework. That's terrific. Yes, so we did reach out, and this was a Visit Huntington Beach initiative in partnership with the City of Huntington Beach to showcase businesses that have signed the Clean and Safe Pledge of the things that they are doing to be in lockstep with the governor's guidelines to be open in the state of California, and the safety protocols and cleaning practices and the mask wearing that is in conjunction with that. So we do promote that in the downtown and all over Huntington Beach. It's on our social media channels. We develop specific marketing plans to be able to support all those that have signed that pledge. So for this month, we have a program called 12 Blocks of Cheer that goes in connection with the holidays for Huntington Beach, and really has 12 blocks, city blocks, where the different businesses are offering either special deals or special things and events that might be happening that local residents and family members can partake in, knowing that the visitors are pretty much not traveling at this moment, in light of, in particular, of the governor's announcement just the other day, and that now that program needed to pivot, where it was targeting some of the visitors that were traveling to now being more resident focused, to make sure that they're supporting those that signed the pledge and that are local businesses.
Nice. We have another question from the audience. Sean Galloway. Hello, Sean. Thank you for tuning in. Did you want to do anything else other than what you are doing right now?
That's a good question. So, you know, when I was in college and just graduated, I thought I was going to be more in mortgage banking industry, because that was one of my first jobs out of college. And it was actually a little bit by mistake that I fell into the hospitality industry. I was working in middle management for a financial institution. And then I worked on the weekends out of college as a banquet server at different events and weddings. And that was mainly just to supplement my income. When you graduate from school and you're no longer with mom and dad, you have car payment and rent and all those fun things. And so I was doing that. And then in the process, my mortgage banking position was eliminated because there was a little bit of a financial downturn during that time. And I took on more shifts doing the banquet serving as I looked for other opportunities out there. And I just realized through that I kind of gravitated to the hospitality industry, just because I enjoyed the meeting and event side of things. I like the creativity behind it. And it was never a dull moment. Financial mortgage banking can be monotonous and pretty much the same, but the hospitality industry and dealing with individuals on all different kinds of programs and events, which change and no two are alike, really was, I thought, was the sweet spot. And I gravitated to that. While I looked for other work, I continued to take on additional responsibilities at the place I was a banquet server, and did filing and contract typing for the then director of catering. And I could hear them on the phone with clients in the engagement, and I just found it fascinating and I grew to love it. And then an opportunity came where that catering director was moved on to another property, and the ownership asked me to take on that position full time. And so I immediately thought, well, I don't have that level of skill set, but they felt I had the personality and the drive to be able to succeed at it, and they could teach me the rest. And that was really kind of my inroad into the industry, and I never left it. So from that job to all the other jobs up to where I have now, they've all been in the hospitality industry, and I just find it the best job ever. And even though I know that it has its hardships now because of COVID-19, I would not change anything. I would have repeated it for sure.
All right, excellent. So we have another question, which is kind of very similar to one of my favorite questions. So I'll say, Vanessa Ramirez. Hello, Vanessa. Thank you also for tuning in. Reflecting back on your past and your journey to get to where you are now, is there any advice that you give your younger self? So if we could take it back to maybe, as Philip says here, when you were just about to graduate from Cal State Fulton, maybe age 21, and give 21-year-old John advice based on what you know now, what would that advice be?
Okay, so I think the advice that I would give myself is there will be bumps along the way, and you may have what you'll perceive as setbacks that at the time you will view as maybe insurmountable, or this is just awful and not what I signed up for. But this too shall pass, and whenever one opportunity closes, another one opens. And I attribute that again to what I had mentioned earlier about my networking opportunities, being involved with associations that led to that. As an example, when I worked for Canadian Tourism Commission, selling the destination of the entire country of Canada, locally engaged out of Southern California, out of my home, I found after 5 years that my position was eliminated due to some budget cuts, and being a governmental position, those things happen. I didn't see it coming because I was their top producer, and I thought there were 7 of us in different markets throughout the US. If they were to downsize at all, it won't be me because I'm the #1 producer. And it didn't turn out to be that way. It went more by seniority, and there were people that had 10 plus years doing what I do in the US, and they were retained. And so I felt a little bit kind of knocked off a pedestal. And I think the thing that helped was surrounding myself with people, friends, whether in the industry or not, that would tell me, okay, you know, you still have your health and no one lost a limb, so you need to take a day or two to kind of grieve that this position is over, and then you need to move forward because you'll get another job. And had I known that at graduation, it might have I might have just been able to shorten the amount of time that I spent being anxious over that. So I say that because I think that's really important to people now. A lot of people have been furloughed or laid off due to COVID-19. And I can imagine, as a graduating senior from Cal State Fullerton, you look at the job market as potentially bleak right now and think, did I choose the right industry? Because the tourism industry is heavily impacted by COVID-19. And we haven't received a bailout like the auto industry or the banking industry in the US has had in the past. So I would give the recommendation of just continue to do what you do really well, and know that this too shall pass and our industry will rebound. You did pick the right industry for a reason. You gravitated to it, and it is multifaceted, and it can weather really any kind of storm that comes at it. This may be the hardest storm the tourism and hospitality industry has had to weather, but I know that it will. And I just see it in the fact that we still see programs booking for a few months out, and they do end up canceling because restrictions come on board and you're still not able to gather, but that interest is still there. So I do know that it looks promising that for the 3rd and 4th quarter of 2021, we will rebound. And I think we will rebound at a very large clip because of the fact that that desire to travel and for in-person meetings will still continue to be strong. And in the interim, where we talked early in the conversation about honing in on a new skill, this is a good time to be able to do that. So if it's brushing up on Excel, which I find personally, it's a lifelong process for me. It doesn't come naturally. So I do work at it diligently. is the time to do that. So you could consider maybe, even if you take some job that isn't in your necessary field in the interim, whether it would be working for Instacart or whatever might end up happening, still continue with your aspirations of getting involved with an association like MPI and networking with it. Reach out to your board advisors like myself, because I'm happy to make any kind of connections I can. I've worked and know a lot of people in this industry, as Amani resulted in saying, with my 2 presidencies of the large associations in Southern California, and I'm happy to help. So tap into any of those types of resources and know that this too shall pass, and it's going to be okay. Don't panic that you're going to graduate and there won't be an opportunity. There will.
We appreciate your advice. Over to you, Madison, for another one of your questions.
So I noticed the Huntington Beach event calendar was pretty filled for this month. How can your organization increase sales during this tough time, or is the goal to just maintain the current numbers?
So we're not actually even maintaining the numbers. The numbers are dropping. So the things that you see are really the support of everything in our destination. So that 12 blocks of cheer to support local businesses that I had mentioned. We are seeing action sport events booking for the future. So those things go on our calendar. If there's any kind of specials around even lunchtime specials or takeout specials for our local restaurants, we engage with that. So we've learned to just kind of pivot around that. With the firm restrictions that are in place around gatherings, really our meetings market has kind of dried up right now. And it's kind of dry going all the way through to about May of 2021. And until some of those restrictions are lifted or the vaccine and therapeutics start being rolled out, I don't see much of that changing, because we keep seeing about in 6-month waves of the push out on some of the cancellations. So when we were back in summer, it was just cancellations through the end of this year. And now it seems to be going more towards May or June. The good news is, though, is the programs that are contracted and booked from June of 2021 onward and into future years are holding steady. So those events are not canceling, which just reaffirms that need for people to meet and to engage in person to be able to come up with those creative and innovative solutions to change companies. So our goal on that event calendar is really just to show any opportunity from a local perspective, or it could be a frontline worker that is staying in one of our hotels, like traveling nurses, on things that you can do when you're not working. Those folks need to be able to have an element of detachment as well. And maybe it's just things that will not involve gathering around large groups, but letting you know what time sunset is so you could take a walk down the pier and have a moment of zen in maybe what is currently a tough time for you with what you're dealing with, either with your career or personally.
You are a Cal State Fullerton alum. Why are you so passionate about your alma mater?
I think because I just love Cal State Fullerton. I love the Titan spirit, and the university has changed so much from when I went there. It didn't even have dorms when I went there, or a Carl's Jr. or a Starbucks. So I find all that stuff fascinating, and that's not the reason I'm involved. But I just love the energy and the unique perspective that the youth of the university have. And I feel that pushes me to be a better person, and hopefully I can give back to them on some of the knowledge or the connections that I have. And I'm a firm believer that if you stop learning in your career path or through life, then it's probably time to retire. So I enjoy learning. I feel they keep me young, and I am so passionate about it that it has the hospitality and economic program that is in place, and it does quite well in the rankings, and the creativity is just impressive. I mean, the fact that you're doing this now as support for students is very impressive. I wish those things were around when I was attending the university, but that was during the onset of computers. So that'll give you a little bit of idea of my age. But I love giving back to it. So when the opportunity arose and Amani had reached out and approached me on it, of course I said yes.
Yeah, we love your love and passion for the university. I'm curious, we touched on it before. If you're looking at, say, February 2022,
Mm-hmm.
in your opinion, what will the meetings and events landscape look like then?
So that's a great question. I know that it continues to change all the time, but from all of the research that I read and looking at the events and meetings we already still have on the books for that time frame, I think that it's going to be quite robust. So you hear everything always kind of compared to where we were at February pre-COVID, so February 2020. And the thing to always keep in mind that was probably the height of the industry. We were on track to have our best year ever. We had finished 2019 being the best fiscal year financially ever for us, and had grown our organization, moved into a larger footprint audience, and everything just seemed to be chugging along flawlessly. And I do believe it will get back to that point. It will not be at that point by February of 2021, because those were some extremely high levels. I do believe it will rebound quite rapidly. So as an example, in the summertime, Huntington Beach had an average occupancy in our 25 plus motels that we have of around 50%. Higher on the weekends when people would maybe take their families to the beach to enjoy the open space, lower during the week, but an aggregated average of about 50%. Currently, we're at about 20%, and that's to be expected because we are a coastal beach destination, and we're now into the winter time when it's cooler and the temperatures don't encourage people to be going to the beach like they normally would. I do think that by February of 2020, we will probably be closer to an occupancy of around 60%. And to put that in average, February being a cooler month, the average in Huntington Beach normally is probably no more than like 72% occupancy. The summer times we run in the 90s, the December, January, February are probably the leanest ones. So I would say it will probably rebound our industry overall at about 25% a year for the next 3 years till we get back to pre-COVID numbers.
Interesting. All right, Madison, over to you for one of your final questions, and then we'll kind of close up shop. So go ahead, Madison.
What previous position helped you most to become the executive vice president, and why?
That is an excellent question. I would say, so the position that helped me where I'm at would probably be the position that I mentioned that I had eliminated with Canadian Tourism Commission. That and the Long Beach Convention and Entertainment Center were probably the ones that grew me for my skill sets the most. The Convention Center from an operational standpoint, because we dealt with so many different events. We would do the California Governor's Conference for Women, where there were 10,000 attendees, and we would do the U.S. Olympic swim trials. There were many really large events there that I had to understand all the many facets that go into the planning and execution of that. The Canadian tourism one was my first entry into destination marketing, or DMO sales. So I've had 3: Canada, Monterey, and now Huntington Beach. And that experience, I had to learn how to be able to sell the many different facets of the country, because each province had unique offerings in Canada. And even some of the type of clients that would go would vary based on the fact that if you go to Montreal or Quebec, it has a high French-speaking population, so you had to take some of those factors in, and then just some of the different things with shipping goods and items from the United States to Canada and vice versa, and making sure you knew all the legalities around some of those things with customs and border crossing. And I think that aspect of that really set me up for my current position, because we do get a lot of international visitors to Huntington Beach, and having that knowledge of another country and selling it for 5 years really assisted me in and empowering me with the international visitors for Huntington Beach, and the convention center experience in Long Beach empowered me with the multiple sizes of events, whether it's an action sports events like AVP volleyball, to being able to secure the NCAA Women's Beach Volleyball Championships in 2025 and 2026, which is a win we just acquired out of 300 destinations in the United States that bid for it.
Congratulations. Well done. So to kind of close off the interview, we can tell you're very proud of that too. So go ahead.
I am. That was a lot of work, and that was all done during COVID. So that's, again, when I try to let people know the work is out there, because even though we're dealing with tough times now, you still have to look down to the future. And so you need to be filling those years in the future, like 2025 and 2026. And it's a great stepping stone for us to be able to get one of the sports for the 2028 Olympics as well.
Exactly. So to kind of close off our chat with you, I really encourage all of our students to read a little more. So if you're thinking about books that come to mind that you'd recommend students, young professionals, even people like you or I that we must read, what are 1 or 2 or 3 that come to mind?
I really like a book that was like Who Moved My Cheese? I know it's not a new book, but it really gives some great insight into perspectives and behavioral traits from folks. There are some great publications, although not books yet, around the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I would really encourage everyone to dive into that. You can do Google searching for that. New York State University, as well as Cornell University, have done some great case studies in and around that, like the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment. It's also a video that you can watch. It's about 45 minutes to an hour long. Will really kind of show you how unconscious bias plays in as a factor that everybody has certain elements of, and understanding privilege and who has that, and the power that gives them or does not give them. So those things I think are important and part of the mainstay moving forward. And it's a big movement for our own organization. And as a graduating student, I would say the more you know about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how to make sure that everybody has a voice and a seat at the table, is going to help set you apart, because it is now woven into the hiring practices for organizations, not just my own, but a lot of organizations that I talk to. That's a key component. So much so that even organizations that buy products now only want to buy goods and services from companies that have well-vetted programs like that, not just a statement on their website, but programs that have those levels of engagement for their staff and their employees. And I think those would be some great things that will set you apart. When we talked earlier in the hour about honing in on skills, that would be a skill that you could attain that will carry with you throughout your entire career, and will definitely be able to set you apart from the competition in the here and now.
Excellent. Well, the final question we have for you, it really will apply to all of us, but when you think about your life and your career, what's the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice and for those of you watching, I didn't get these questions ahead of time, so I want to make sure it's a good answer. The best advice I ever received.
Yes.
So I think the best advice I ever received is to be your true and authentic self. So we're all probably quirky or different in some way. I know I may have a certain nerd element to myself as well. And it's okay to be your authentic self, because that individuality is going to allow all of your gifts and traits to move forward. Because when you are being your true authentic self, you've kind of unleashed the element of innovation in your mind. And that's going to come through your thoughts that you share, your creative thinking and your work that you do for an organization. It won't only make you more productive and more creative. It's going to, I think, increase your level of engagement and your contributions, and companies want those type of employees. So I would say being that true, authentic self is going to be the best advice that I've ever heard.
Amazing. Well, John, we just want to say thank you for spending a good 45 minutes, an hour of your day with us. We know you're very busy, so thank you. We love you. We love all the support and guidance you give all of our students. So
and I
thank
love
you
everybody out there that's watching as well, and even those that aren't. If this is recorded, they watch later. I just think you guys are doing some great stuff, and so I'm happy to be part of it and happy to help in any way that I can.
Amazing. Madison, great job on your first time as host. We're going to have you back
Thank you.
soon. So well done. And then for everyone out there, just please continue to stay safe. Good luck during the final 2 weeks of school and finals week. You'll get through this as well, and stay safe. And we will see you all in the new year for one of our next episodes of Industry Insider. Take care, everyone.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.